हरि ओम। ओम श्री गणेशाय नमः। ओम श्री हिरण्यगर्भाय नमः। ओम श्री महाविष्णवे नमः। ओम श्री महादेवाय नमः। ओम श्री महादुर्गाये नमः। ओम श्री राम रामाय नमः। ओम श्री सद्गुरवे नमः। ओम सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परब्रह्मा तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। समस्त जन कल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। शंकरं शंकराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। शङ्करं परमानन्दं ब्रह्मनिष्ठं यतीश्वरं भाष्यभ्रान्तिहरं वन्दे शुद्धज्ञानैकबोधकम्। ॐ नमः शिवाय 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 ॐ नमः शिवाय। नमः पार्वतीपतये। हर हर महादेव। हरि ओम हरि ओम। We'll begin with the Shanti mantra. Om आप्यायन्तु ममाङ्गानि वाक् प्राणश्चक्षुश्रोत्रमथो बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्मोपनिषदं माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्याम् मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत्। अनिराकरणमस्त्व निराकरणं मे अस्तु। तदात्मनि निरतेय उपनिषत्सु धर्माः ते मयि सन्तु ते मयि सन्तु। ओम शांति शांति शांति। Hari Om. Hari Om. So the teacher Sanat Kumar reveals the greater and greater layers, starting from Nam, in order to give the knowledge of Supreme Atma to Naradji. So all that we know about this world and all that is revealed in the Vedas can be just indicated as Nam, and subtler than Nam is Vak, subtler than Vak is Manaha, subtler than Mana is Sankalpa, subtler than Sankalpa is Chittam, greater than Chitta is Dhyana, then Vijnana, Balam, Annam, Apaha, Tejaha. So Teja, we have seen in the last class, is very is greater than water, greater than Anna. So Naradji was told to meditate on Tej as Brahma. Then Naradji asked, is there anything greater than Tej? So the teacher there is some network problem with the Facebook. Let me see if I can do something. Hari Om. Naradji asked the teacher, is there anything subtler? Is there anything superior to age? The teacher replies yes. And now in this 12th section, the teacher reveals what is subtler than Tej. Let us chant the first mantra. Akasho vavatejso bhuyam Akashe vai surya chandramasa vubhau Vidyun nakshatrani agnihi Akashena avvayati Akashena shunoti Akashena prati shunoti Akashe ramate Akashe na ramate Akashe jayate Akasham abhijayate Akasham upasveti. So now the teacher reveals that Akashaha, Akash means space. Akashaha vava tejaso bhuyam. Akash is greater than tej, than fire or heat. Why so? Says Akashe vai Surya Chandramasaho. In Akash alone exist the sun and the moon, which are expressions of fire. Vidyut Nakshatrani, also the lightning and all the stars and the fire, therefore Akash, in which is all these fires, is superior to fire. Akashena avvayati. In Akash only one calls another person, and Akashena shunoti. With Akash only we hear. Akashena prati shunoti. When someone speaks, we hear with Akash only. Akashe ramate, everyone revels in Akash. Akashe na ramate, even when we become sad in Akash. Akashe jayate, all beings are born in Akash. Akasham abhijayate, one grows within Akash. Akasham upasveti. Therefore, hey Narada, you meditate on Akash as Brahma. This is the literal translation of this mantra. So let us read Shankaracharyaji's Bhashya and try to understand this mantra. So Akasho vava tejaso bhuyam. Akasha is subtler than Teja, it's greater than Teja. When we say Teja, it includes Vayu also, because Vayu sahitasya tejasaha karanatvat vyomni vyomnyo. Because Akash is the cause of Vayu as well as fire. But here the Vayu, that is air, is not mentioned separately because it was included in the previous mantra when it was said that through Teja the Vayu is sustained. Through Teja the Vayu is held, restrained. So Vayum agruhyeti tejasa. Saha uktaha vayu iti prutag iha na uktaha tejasaha. So since it was mentioned before, vayu was mentioned, therefore it is not separately indicated here as vayu is greater than teja. So we know vayu is greater than teja and akash is greater than vayu and greater than teja also. So akash is very, very subtle. Among all these five elements, akash is the subtlest. So akash, vayu, agni, jal and prithvi, these five great elements are there, which are experienced by us through our senses. So with all our five senses, we can experience the element earth as Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa and Gandha. But the element water is experienced with four senses. We cannot experience Gandha in pure water. So, Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa. In fire, we can experience three, Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa. In Vayu, we can experience two, Shabda and Sparsha. So one organ remains Shabda. So corresponding to that organ is space. So the property of space is sound, which can be experienced with our ears. So the five elements are experienced through our senses. Though this akash is subtle and the pure akash cannot be comprehended with our other senses, we can understand the presence of akash with the help of our mind. Because even when there is no air, then even the sound doesn't travel in akash. When the air is removed in a vacuum, the sound also doesn't travel. Though sound is the characteristic of akash, for it to travel, it needs some media. So akash is so subtle. Its presence is experienced, is understood through inference by observing the objects. So when we observe the objects of this world, we experience them as they are here or there or above or below. We experience these directions. So these directions itself is an expression of that space. So through the mind and the intellect, we come to understand the presence of space. Not only the space, but even time is experienced through our mind and intellect only. We cannot see time. Time is not a characteristic of any object. Time is not a characteristic of space, air, fire, water, earth. But when we look at this world and we see movement in this world, we can infer time. So as now, as before, as afterwards, we experience the presence of time. We see the sunrise, we see the sunset, we see the movements of the birds, of the trees, and we can infer time, that the bird was here and now it is there. So, so we not only infer space, but we can infer time too through our mind. Not only human beings, but even animals and birds, they have this ability to infer space and time. In fact, they can also do very complex calculations uh, when they observe the world, and accordingly they respond to the world. Even if a dog wants to cross the road, it sees the car approaching and it just sees where it wants to cross the road and go. So it calculates that is it possible for me to cross this road before the car reaches here, or should I just wait? So it calculates and accordingly responds. There are some birds which can catch the fish which is moving, swimming in the waters. So they can see the fish. And there is a little parallax also when the fish are there in water. Though they may be at one place, they appear to be at another place. And they have their own speed with which they swim. So the bird looks at the fish and just dives inside the water and catches that fish. In one dive itself, most of these birds, they catch the fish. So how they can do it? They can do it by calculating in their mind. They may not know all this mathematics, but they can calculate and they can just pick up the fish. So the presence of space and time, we understand with the help of our antakarana because they are very subtle. We cannot see space with our senses. So Akash is supremely, is very, very subtle. It's the first expression from the Panchatan Matras. In fact, the first manifestation of this physical world. Akash is also all pervading. It is ananta. It is boundless. It is the expression of that supreme Brahma which is infinite. So this Akash is also infinite. Even science is struggling to understand the secrets of Akash. In the beginning, science thought that Akash is just nothing, just a vacuum. But then they realized that no, Akash is not just a vacuum, but it is something. There is something in this Akash also. So Akasho Vava Tejaso Bhuyan. Akash is subtler than Teja. Akash is subtler than Vayu. From Akash only then Vayu is born. From Vayu, Agni, then Jala and Prithvi. Also, the first, from the Tanmatras, the Pancha Mahabhuts were created, and then through the Trivrit Karanam, further modification of this Pancha Mahabhut happened. The fire, water, and earth were further modified to form the Trivrit Karanam, and through this first Trivrit Karanam, the various lokas were created and the various devatas. So the Surya, Chandrama, the Nakshatra, the Vidyut, the lightning, the rains, they are all devatas. They are from the first Trivrit Karanam. So here the teacher mentions Surya, Chandra, etc. So the teacher mentions the effects of the first Trivrit Karanam also. And why that Akash is subtler is indicated. So let us read Shankaracharya's Bhashya. He says, Akasho Bhava Tejasho Bhuyahan. Akash is subtler than Tejas. Vayu Sahitasya Tejasah Karanatvat, because it is the cause of both Vayu as well as Teja. And Vayu is mentioned in the previous mantra, so it is not separately indicated. And Karanam ki loke karyat bhuyah drishtam. And we know in this world that cause is always subtler than the effect. Cause is always greater than the effect. Therefore, since the Akash is the cause, it is greater than Tej and Vayu. Yatha ghatadibhyo mrut tatha akasho vayu sahitasya tejasah karanam iti tato bhuyam. Just like the clay is greater than the pot, because clay is the cause and pot is the effect. Similarly, Akash is greater than Teja and Vayu. Again, Katham, Akashe Vai Surya Chandramasau Ubhau Tejo Rupau. Subtler than what you call in Akash alone lies Surya and Chandrama. The Surya which we see is so very vast, it is so large. Though from here, when we look at the sun, it appears of the same size as that of the moon. But moon is much closer to earth and the sun is very, very far away. It takes about 8 minutes for the light from the sun to reach the earth. And it is extremely large. But even this large sun is accommodated within space. Therefore, one of the meaning of the word Akash, the name Akash is that which gives accommodation. Avakash, it gives accommodation. So, when the world was created, first space was created, and then space accommodated everything else within it. It gives accommodation. See, when some object is there, other object cannot occupy that space. If I am sitting here, other person cannot sit at the same place. So one object doesn't give accommodation to other object, but space gives accommodation to all. So if there is space, then other objects can occupy it. So in space exist the Surya and Chandrama. Surya Chandramasau Ubhau Tejo Rupau. They are of the nature of Tej only, fire. The pure fire from the five great elements, the Panchikruta. When the Panchikaranam happened, then the fire was created. That fire doesn't have much variety. But with Trivrat Karanam, different types of fire were created. Like Surya is also fire, lightning is also fire, the moon, the reflection of the sun on the moon is also fire. The fire which we use in our kitchen, that is also fire. So these are different expressions of fire which were born, which were created after the first Trivrit Karanam. So all these are Tejo Rupa. So Surya and Chandrama Tejo Rupa. Vidyut Nakshatrani Agnischa. Even Vidyut, the lightning, is also fire. Very powerful. Within fraction of a second, the very powerful fire gets created in this lightning. If it strikes on some object, it will just burn that object. It strikes on the tree and the tree instantly gets burnt. So the lightning is also a very powerful expression of fire. Then Nakshatrani, then we see the stars. Millions and billions of stars we see in the sky. If there is no pollution, in a very dark night, cloudless night, we can see millions of stars in the sky. We ourselves are living in this galaxy called Milky Way, and on the outskirts of this Milky Way, not in the downtown of Milky Way, but in the outskirts of Milky Way, one of the arms of Milky Way is our sun, along with all the planets, along with this earth on which all of us will live. So the Nakshatrani, but there are billions and billions of other Milky Ways with billions of stars in them. They are also expressions, different varieties of fire only. So they are also included in space. So just imagine the vastness of space. It is so vast and infinite that we just cannot imagine. Our buddhi cannot understand this infinity. It's just mind-boggling. See, the light from the sun, it takes 8 minutes to reach here, and light travels so fast. Light travels so fast that it takes just a little more than a second to reach the moon. So the sun is 8 minutes away from the earth. But the next sun, that is another star, is about 4 light years away from earth. 4 light years away. It means it takes 4 years for the light from that sun to reach the earth. Okay? But there are other stars which are much, much further away. And there are galaxies which are billions of light years away. And what is there? Where are they all? They are in space. And what is there in between? Space. So space is extremely vast and subtle and all pervading. And within space are these fires in the form of the stars, sun, moon, lightning, and also the fire which we have in our kitchen. So Agnishcha, Tejo Rupani, Akashe Antaha, all of them are within Akash. Therefore, Yaccha Yasya Antarvarti Tad Alpam Bhoya Itarat. Therefore, that which is within is small, and that in which it exists is large. So space is large, space is greater than fire. Again, the teacher continues, he says, कि किंच आकाशे आकाशेन आह्वयति च अन्यम अन्य आहूतः च इतर आकाशेन शृणोति. That in space alone we call others. We are standing somewhere and then we see our friend. Then from a distance we can call out our friend. So our sound travels in space, and that my friend hears it, and he also responds, and I can also hear him. So this transaction happens in space. Itaretara akashena shrunoti. And when I hear my friend calling me, I can hear his sound. That hearing also is possible because of these ears, and these ears are the effect of space only. From space alone, the ears are created. Means the ears are expressions of space. So the same material which is there in space, same material go to make my ears. And the characteristic of space is sound. And through our voice, through our speech, we can create that sound. So all this transaction of the sound happens in space. So akashena shtunoti, the ear with akash. Anyoktam cha shabdam anya pratishrunoti. When someone uses some words, speaks, then we can hear that person. So this is most fascinating. This is true not only about Akash, but about space also, about Vayu also. So Vayu, the characteristic of Vayu is touch. So the ability to touch, to sense the touch which is there on our skin is also the product of Vayu alone. So with Vayu only we come to know Vayu. With space only we come to know space. Similarly, the eyes, they have the capacity to see, which is called the organ of seeing. That organ of seeing is also product of fire. So the fire has got this color and form, and the same fire goes to make our eyes. So with fire only we see fire. With with water only we taste water. With earth only we smell earth. So these five sense organs are the products of these five elements only, and therefore we can understand them, we can perceive them, we get the knowledge about them, because the instrument with which we know them are made from the same material. See, just like anything else in this world, suppose I want to measure some weight, how, what is the weight of a thing. If I go to the market, I want to buy something. I say, give me a kilo of this potatoes. So the person, he puts that a weight of 1 kilo on the scale, and then he puts the potatoes on the other side of the scale. And when they balance, I know that this is also 1 kilo. Potatoes are also 1 kilo. So in order to measure weight, I have to use weight, which is known. If I have to measure length, I will have to use length, which is known. So I measure length using the scales, like meter or centimeter or kilometer. So whatever we want to measure, we have to use the same unit. So what is perception? We are perceiving sound. That means we are measuring sound. So there is sound in nature. The bird is singing. So there is this sound. So in order to perceive that sound, we should have a measuring device which is also a sound. So our ears are also sound. So when that bird is singing, the ears also create the same type of sound. And since the ears are connected to my mind, the mind can recognize it. Mind can understand that sound. When the mind is not available, then even when the sound is there, we don't recognize it. So, the space which has got the characteristic of sound, the ears also has got the, which is made from space, has got the ability of this sound. Therefore, it is said that akashena shranoti, that one hears with akash. Anyoktam cha shabdam anyaha pratishrunoti akashe ramate. Also, one rejoices in akash. We live in akash. Our body exists in akash. So when we are rejoicing, when we are celebrating, then we are celebrating within akash only. Akashe ramate kridati. Anyonyam Sarvaha. So we rejoice, we play with other beings in Akash. Tatha na ramate. At times we become sad, we become dejected, something is lost, someone goes away from our life, then we become sad. That sadness also happens in Akash. So, na ramate cha akashe vadvadi viyoga. Because of the viyog with some near and dear one, we become sad. So, sadness also happens in Akash. Akashe jayate. We are all born in Akash. We are born means our bodies are born in Akash. The bodies of all beings are born in Akash. So this Akash is so fascinating. The greatness of this Akash is revealed here. And na murtena avashtabdhe, because we cannot take birth in a place which is where there is no space. If there is no space, if there is no place, then we cannot take birth. To take birth also, space is required. If there is no space, then our body cannot come into existence. So in Akash alone we are born. Tatha Akasham Abhilaksha Ankuradi Jayate. Also, the seeds and the sprouts and all they grow in Akash only. They just move towards more and more space. If too many trees are there in one place, then they will just grow to move towards empty space. So they grow towards space. So Ankuradi Jayate Na Prati Lomam. So they don't grow in a congested place or where there is no space. See, sometimes these roots and all, they try to find space and somehow they find space and they start growing there. Sometimes you find this even people, trees and all growing on the roof, on the walls. Their roots, they try to find, they squeeze themselves into the tiny little space within and just grow there. If there is no space, they cannot grow. So therefore, the space is extremely subtle and it is greater than Teja. Therefore, Sanat Kumar ji tells Narad ji कि आकाशम upasva iti, you meditate on space as Brahma. In fact, this is a very subtle meditation because Brahma is also indicated as infinite. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Brahma is pure existence. It is of the nature of knowledge and it is infinite. And since space, which is expression of that Brahma, is also infinite, and also space is one, and also we see other characteristics of space like it is also asanga. the space doesn't hold on to anything. If suppose something is kept in space, and if we take it, the space doesn't resist. Space doesn't say, no, don't take it. Don't remove it. So space is asanga. Space is very extremely subtle. Space is one. Though it appears divided, when we build a house, we have the kitchen, the living room, drawing room, bathroom, bedroom, balcony, all these different names we give to the space. But really speaking, space cannot be divided because space is present even in the walls. And when the walls are there, we don't see the space beyond that, so we feel as though it is divided. But really speaking, space is not divided. Space is present everywhere. So Akash, one can meditate on Akash as Brahma. It is very difficult to comprehend the infinite space, but whatever we can with our limited mind and intellect, we can just understand the space and meditate on that space as Brahma. Our body exists in space. The whole world exists in space. The entire cosmos exists in space. And the space is the first expression, first material expression of that Supreme Brahma. Though subtler than space is Ahankar, Tattva. Subtler than space is the cosmic mind, intellect, and cosmic Ahankar. But the world which we see is the subtlest expression of this world is space. So meditate on space as Brahma. Then what is the result of such a meditation? The teacher tells now in the next mantra. Saya akasham brahma iti upaste akashavato vai salokan prakashavato asambadhan urugayavato abhisiddhyate yavat akashasya gatam tatra asya yatha kamacharo bhavati ya akasham brahma iti upaste अस्ति भगव आकाशात् भूयः इति आकाशात् वाव भूयोस्ति इति तन्मे भगवान ब्रवीतु इति. So the teacher says the result of this meditation on Akash as Brahma कि फलम शृणु आकाशवतो वै विस्तार युक्तान स विद्वान लोकान प्रकाशवतः प्रकाश Akashayoho Nitya Sambandha. So, a person who meditates on Akash as Brahma, such a person attains a world which is spacious like Akash, which is all spacious like Akash. Not some congested world. The person is born in a world which is spacious like Akash and Prakashavataha, and also which is bright and brilliant, because Akash and Prakash, they go together. Shankaracharya ji writes कि प्रकाश आकाशयोः नित्य संबंधात्. They are always associated together, so the person attains a spacious world and a bright world. And also, asambandhan. He attains a world which is asambandhan means which is uh, free from all suffering. Anyanya pida tadrahita, free from mutual suffering and in conflicts and inflictions and others, sorrow and all. So he attains a happy world. And also, Urugayavataha. Urugayavataha, again it means which is spacious, which has got which is spread all over. Vistirnaha gatin, which is spread all over, which has got movement all over. Such a vast, spacious, happy, bright world the person attains who meditates on space as Brahma. Also, whatever be the range of Akash, the domain of Akash, यावत् आकाशस्य गतं तत्र अस्य यथा कामचारो भवति. The Upasak also gains free movement within the domain of Akash. So Akasham Brahma iti upaste, one who meditates on Akash as Brahma. Then Naradji asked the teacher, Ki asti bhagavah akashad bhuyah iti, is there anything greater than Akash? Is there something greater than Akash? So the teacher says, yes, there is something greater than Akash. Akashad vava bhuyo asti iti, there is something greater than Akash. Then Naradji requests the teacher, please teach me that. Tan me Bhagavan bravitu iti, please teach me that which is greater than Akash. And that now the teacher will teach in the next section, so that we will see in our class on Friday. So till then you take care, be happy, safe, peaceful, healthy, do your work, do your sadhana. Listen to the pravachan again, contemplate on it. If you have any questions, you may always ask in the comment section. And we will meet again on Friday. Hari Om. Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram. 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 Jaya Jaya Ram. Jaya Jaya Ram. Boliye Siyavar Ramchandra Bhagwan ki Jai. ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ॐ।